A conflict in West Asia is the true test for any world power. We know that, whether it's Iran or the war for oil or the question of Israel and Palestine, many world powers have been humbled by the power plays in West Asia. But they keep coming back to try again. And this time there's a new player on the block, a rising power eager to display its diplomatic chops. It is China. The last war of Gaza was in 2014. Back then, Xi Jinping was just settling into office. He had taken charge in 2013. But this time around, in 2021, he's a lot more assertive, both over his party and his country. So President Xi Jinping thinks that he is ready for the West Asian test. And what better place to start than Israel and Palestine? China's first move was an offer to mediate. Beijing wants negotiators from Israel and Palestine to fly out to China. It really is a bizarre offer because China has virtually no stake in this conflict. The two-state solution, we can tell you, is older than the People's Republic itself. So it's difficult to imagine Chinese negotiators having any impact. Plus, this negotiation needs subtle diplomacy, which is not exactly China's strength. The second move was to offer a 4-point solution, and this was pushed by Foreign Minister Wang Yi of China at the United Nations Security Council. What are they proposing? Here are the 4 points. Number 1, an immediate ceasefire. Number 2, lifting the blockade on Gaza and offering humanitarian assistance. Number 3, a more vigorous role for the Security Council. And number 4, pushing on with the two-state solution. Now, this might sound promising, but China is literally the last country to propose this. They're retracing the steps already taken by the likes of the US and Russia. So why is China even bothering to get involved in something like this? Because there is a conflict unfolding in West Asia, and for countries like China, conflicts are opportunities to rebuild their image, to display their leadership, and to extend their influence. Let's talk about the first one, rebuilding their image. China does not like the headlines on Xinjiang. It hates being called Islamophobic, though that's exactly how it's behaving. That's exactly what they're doing to the Uyghur Muslims in China. So supporting Palestine is perhaps a shot at redemption, because the next time someone accuses China of Islamophobia, it can always turn around and say, what about Palestine? Their second objective is to display leadership, and this involves pitting themselves against the US. Now, Joe Biden, we know, is still figuring out his West Asia policy. Right now, it involves a lot of phone calls and nothing else, and he's not getting anywhere. At the Security Council, Biden is blocking a statement on Israel, and this is exactly what China has been waiting for. A conflict spiraling out of control and America missing in action. So what does China do? Go into a diplomatic overdrive, and they have offered to mediate and listed a 4-point solution. All of this indicates China's global ambitions. But for a global power, a footprint in West Asia is a must, which brings us to the third objective, extending influence. Israel and Palestine are key gateways of the Belt and Road Initiative. And China is slowly sinking its nails into Israel. It is funding big projects, some of them with strategic implications, like the container port in Haifa. It is the third largest city in Israel. From this port, China can keep an eye on the US 6th Fleet. They're also building a second port in the city of Ashdod and a light rail project in Tel Aviv. This will run a few hundred meters from Israel's military headquarters. Now, these are not loans, so Israel does not have to worry about the dreaded debt trap. But they do give China a strategic foothold in Israel. By 2018, Chinese companies were investing $400 million in Israeli startups. 53% of this investment was by state-run companies. Same story with bilateral trade. China is Israel's second largest trading partner. Did you know that? And Israel is China's second largest arms provider. Their total trade is worth around $11 billion. This is an expanding relationship. And peace is key to keeping this relationship steady, which is why China is pushing hard for a ceasefire. Beijing has millions of dollars tied up in West Asia. For them, the two-state solution is a business agenda. It has nothing to do with peace. What's worrying is that both Israel and Palestine seem oblivious to what is happening here. They're making the same mistake as the rest of the world, underestimating China's threat. America, India, Europe, they've all made this mistake. And decades later, the world is paying the price for it.